Chapter 10. Peace. In 1945, the Long War ended. The next year, Helen and Polly went to Europe to help the blind there. One evening in Rome, Helen felt the quick excitement of Polly's hand. Polly was spelling terrible news. Their house in Westport had been burned. Everything was lost. Worst of all, a book Helen had been writing about teacher had burned. It had nearly finished. The very first thing I will do is start the book over again, Helen said. Back in Westport, Helen's loyal friends helped build a new house. The day Helen and Polly moved into their new home, huge boxes arrived. Helen's friends in Japan heard of her loss. They had sent gifts of tables and lamps and other furniture. Helen ran her fingers over the delicate china and carvings. One package was wrapped the most beautifully. It was a tall incense burner. The emperor had sent it to his friend, Helen Keller. Many honors came to Helen Keller throughout the years. Colleges all over the world gave her special honors. Many foreign governments gave her medals and decorations. Most important, Helen saw more and more blind and deaf people educated to do useful work and be part of the living world. Much of the help had come from her. Great countries and little children gave Helen their thanks. In May 1959, Helen was given the honor she prized most. The Helen Keller World Crusade had begun at the United Nations building in New York City. It would help blind and deaf children all over the world. Helen was very proud. She had lived through two terrible wars. She had always hoped for world peace. Now it made her happy to know that people of different countries and races would work together to help children. Long after the time when most people retire, Helen Keller was busy. I cannot stop to grow old while there is so much work to do, she said, and so many children to help. When Helen was 75, she traveled thousands of miles around the world. She made many speeches and met many new friends. On her 80th birthday in 1960, the American Foundation for Overseas Blind announced the Helen Keller International Award. There is also a Helen Keller Scholarship for blind deaf students to help them go through college. Now Helen Keller could no longer travel herself, but her spirit of courage and the words of her books still travel around the world. Helen never forgot all her work and all her honors and all the light in her life came first from her beloved teacher. One of Helen Keller's most beautiful books is a story of Annie Sullivan Macy's life. In a little verse, Helen wrote, Teacher, and that was all. It will be my answer in the dark when death calls.